So avoiding financial planning, sabotaging opportunities to make money, settling for low pay, or undervaluing your skills, and constantly worrying about money would be signs of unworthiness around finances.
Well,
that trying it out was a technique that was advised when Ben was born.
But that's going to trigger massive unworthiness. Like,
it's not even that long ago. That's what they were telling you to do, you know?
Yeah. And like,
it's I just an idea, isn't it? To just leave them in a cot until they're sure. If we're not aware, because we can have thoughts. In fact, apparently we have, it's something really high, like 85% of our thoughts are the same ones. So avoiding financial planning, sabotaging opportunities to make money, settling for low pay, or undervaluing your skills, and constantly worrying about money would be signs of unworthiness around finances. Parenting, or role in the family. So you might overcompensate by trying to be the perfect parent and then burning yourself out, having a lot of guilt over mistakes that you've made, constantly being in guilt, comparing yourself to other parents and feeling you don't measure up would be symptoms of feeling unworthy in that area. Health and well-being, putting everyone else's needs first.
People please them,
avoiding medical checkups. Not prioritizing things that you know that are good for you, like exercise and eating healthy meals, and sleep, having enough rest. And then dreams and goals and personal growth might be seen as, if you're a terrible procrastinator or not believing you're capable of actually reaching your dreams, so you lower the bar or just don't go for it all and sit in your comfort zone. Self-doubt, preventing us to take the risks required to grow. And playing small and shrinking back when it is an actual time that you could have shined. So say you're particularly good, I don't know, say you're good at playing an instrument and they asked somebody to join a group playing some music and you become a shrinking violet and don't admit you can play an instrument even though you're amazing at it. That kind of thing. So it's like a fundamental wound that can come out. Like, that's why I used a tree in the picture, because it's at the root, but we often aren't aware that it's that we feel unworthy. We just see all the branches of all the other stuff that we think about ourselves and the choices that we make, and whether we take risks, safe risks, but risks to get the things that we want. Because if there's always a risk when we go for things we want, it's just like us starting to do lives, isn't it? There was a risk. There was a risk that people would react negatively to it.
Exactly.
There was a risk that I would turn the camera on and completely forget what to say. There were risks, but they weren't dangerous.
No, exactly.
Dangerous risks.
But this is the thing, we don't really understand. Well, we don't understand why we do this, or why we're afraid, or why we have that fear. And as I said, it does stem from childhood and that childhood wounding. But oftentimes relationships or perceived failures later in life can re-trigger that wound and make it louder. Because, you reminded me there of that unambition. When I was in a really toxic narcissistic relationship, and, when I became codependent then on my dad and, suffered a dynamic there, both times I lost all sense of self. I lost all of my ambition, and I had no direction. I had no drive. I had no love for life at that time, and that was because every bit of energy was taken away from me, and my wounding from my inner child was re-triggered. And so my unworthiness wound was bigger than ever. And that's the thing. That's when you're going to know if you've lost that will to do anything. that's a big sign that your unworthiness wound is loud and really needs to be seen to. Because, you know, we are here for so much more. We've all got so much talent. We're all worthy of love. We're all worthy of that job. We all deserve to have a career that gives us fulfillment. We just have to, I suppose, shed the limiting side of ourselves to believe that we can, because there is that so much wounding from that childhood or from those toxic relationships that has led us to believe that we're not good enough, that we don't deserve to move forward. But we really, really do, and it's uncovering the depths of that wounding that will help us to find who we truly are and to discover our full potential.
Yeah. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before. I've got here, where does it come from? So let's talk briefly about that. So we've said childhood conditionings, could be school experiences. So it might, everything might have been fine till you got to school, and it might have been either academically you struggled, or it might be socially that you struggled.
But a simple thing of, if you fall over in the playground as a child and the kids start laughing, that's gonna trigger your rejection, your abandonment. That's not that the unworthiness, rejection, and abandonment. It's one and the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Simple things in childhood, being reprimanded for going on the wall, for being told to keep quiet because you're crying. You know, and even that thing of being left and be caught crying for the. You know, I never even realized this till you mentioned it to me lately. It's like, what are we doing to children? Like, you're literally leaving a child crying in a fucking cot. The child has no recollection of how it's on this planet, and it's being told, more or less, loud and clear, you're a piece of shit, so I'm going to just leave you there crying.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I was that child as well, left in a fucking corner, bawling my eyes out. This is, you know...
Well, crying it out was a technique that was advised when Ben was born.
But that's going to trigger massive unworthiness, like...
It's not even that long ago that's what they were telling you to do, you know?
Yeah, and like, you know, I just
had an idea, isn't it, to just leave them in a cot until they're sure.
Yeah, no wonder we have a fucking generation, so many generational cycles of trauma to fucking heal, because these people did that to the children.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. I'm sweating down here like that here. But that's it. It stems from childhood. So it can stem from a little thing. You know, you might have had you might have thought you had a troubled childhood home. But simple things are being shouted at once, falling over once and being laughed at. As you said, there's certain things in school that you thought that you weren't good at. Mm-hmm. Simple things like that, these can all trigger that unworthiness, that rejection. And then it gets bigger and bigger as you go through teenagehood. Big time in teenagehood.
It can also be created rather than from negative experiences, but by positive experiences, in that when you got love and when you got attention was when you achieved something. Yeah. So you weren't really noticed until you got a certificate, or when you got the highest mark in the maths test in your class. That can foster this need for external validation.
Detrimental for that. You see, I've seen that so many times, and I've seen it in dynamics. That child from day one is struggling for that need for validation and affection. That they're overworking from a young age.
Yeah.
That is detrimental to mental health, and I think it's so wrong. And then parents are so forceful, you have to be a star or I'm not going to fucking love you. It's so wrong. I'm going to be really triggered throughout this whole video, I'd say.
I know. When I read the list, I was like, well, this is triggering. So let's have a look. Main ways it affects you is procrastination, imposter syndrome, fear of failure or success, staying in toxic environments, and overworking to prove yourself. So let's think about healing the wound. So like we say, it's acknowledgement, it's understanding, and it's awareness, isn't it? So recognizing when the unworthiness thoughts creep in. And a sneaky thing about unworthiness is sometimes it's not our perception that it's us. Sometimes it's our anxiety around what other people think. So we are lying to ourselves essentially that it's not us that believes that about ourselves. It's actually the rest of the world that believes
Yes,
that.
this is the thing, you know. If we
It's
don't do a
projected.
job a certain way, if we don't get married before 30, if we don't do it this, if we don't do this, if we don't do this, the whole world is going to judge me. If I don't do it the way mommy wants it, I'm going to be judged. This kind of stuff comes in. And that will actually trigger your unworthiness as well. It's like, you know, I have to do it the society way, or I'm not good enough. And that's comparison to others as well. It's like, if I'm not doing it like the
The thief
Joneses,
of joy.
yeah,
Comparison is the thief of joy. And society these days is set up to compare. You know, it's like all these images of perfect bodies and houses and what family should look like and all this kind of stuff. And I know that there's been efforts to change that, but for such a long time, the messages were you had to be a certain way, you had to look a certain way to be worthy, you know. And people spend so much time now watching screens that becomes their reality. And actually, you know, most pictures of people, certainly famous people, are not at all, you know, natural.
you know,
They're very
all
much
over.
tampered with,
You
you
know,
know,
like
and
we
it's
should
only
own
going to
our
get
beauty.
worse.
Every single one of us is different in
Mm.
personality and in looks. And we're all beautiful in our own unique ways. And we need to own it. Authenticity, to me, is the most beautiful thing you can ever have.
Mm.
So actually being real is what is going to make you beautiful. And that's really it. Like, you know, that's how we can own our unworthiness, is when we accept ourselves and love ourselves.
Yeah, and it's understanding that our worth is our birthright, that we were born worthy,
We
you know,
were.
that we are already worthy, that we are already enough, that we are, and we don't have to seek the approval of other people to know that. There's I wish that I had time to write it down. I was a little bit rushed today. But Brené Brown has some really, really great things to say on belonging and worthiness. Because belonging and worthiness, like belonging is such a big thing. People want to feel that they belong. And I think one of the reasons that I struggled so much as a child is because I didn't feel that I belonged, you know, and it was very damaging, very damaging. But actually, if we can realize that we're already worthy,
Yeah.
then you know we don't seek other people's approval. Whatever we're seeking other people's approval, whatever we're seeking the next certificate or the next job title or the next dress size drop, or you know, whatever it is that you're chasing, the next medal, what's going to happen when you get there? Because once we've got it, it's momentary, and then it's like, oh no, now I need something else.
Yeah.
Or we might get there and think we're an imposter, you know.
But
So
that's it.
whatever our worth is based on external things, then it can change. If your worth is based on you can be authentic, you know, that if it's my birthright to be worthy, I am worthy already. And then you can make your choices from that place of worth rather than feeling like you have to earn it, because that's when we sell ourselves short, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. As you said, we're keep seeking outside. But
Yeah.
that worthiness is not going to come from outside. It's coming from inside. And it's not about the achievements you do, as you said. It's about what you achieve within.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that deep inner healing. That's that growth. That's that strength. That's that escaping that addiction, escaping that relationship, escaping, you know, those toxic dynamics. That is what makes you worthy. Like, oh, well, actually, no. Being born, as you said, is what makes you worthy. We're born unconditionally loving, pure human souls.
It's realizing our worth that
Yeah.
allows us
It's
to break free
unlearning.
of those.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
unlearning the
unlearning the
shitty
unworthy.
behavior that was
Yeah.
shown to us or done to us that made us feel unworthy. You know, whatever our parents did to make us feel that way, whatever a toxic partner did to make you feel that way. It's unlearning and unbelieving those lies, because that's all right. You know what? the thing is about us as well, a lot of us, the ones that were rejected, is that we shone brighter than most, and that's why we were picked on. That's why we were outcast. So if you understand the fact that it's because you're actually so brilliant, and that's why you were treated like shit. I know it sounds so weird. Yeah, flip it. Everything they said to you was a lie, and it was the exact opposite of what was true, because they were trying to pick on your shine, pick on your best qualities. So literally disbelieve everything that was ever done to you, because it was false. It was fucking false. And you're an amazing human being that deserves the world. So yes, unlearn and unbelieve what was done to you, because you were always worthy.
Absolutely. So, like we say, a good way to start healing the wound is it's always awareness. It's bringing awareness to it, because we said this a lot. We work on autopilot a lot of the time, so we'll be going through this and having these beliefs and having these thoughts and self-sabotaging and projecting our beliefs on people in the future. You know, oh, they're probably going to think this is rubbish, this thing that I've made, and you know, completely imagined future. So it's bringing awareness to those things that are in your life, because they're the clues of where you need to heal or what you need to look at, or just spotting it and debunking it. If we're not aware, because we can have thoughts. In fact, apparently we have it's something really high, like 85% of our thoughts are the same ones. Like, how crazy is that? You know,
It
you
makes
don't
sense though.
realize. Yeah. So if you feel unworthy, or maybe you don't even know you feel unworthy, but you're having a lot of these, you know, bad relationships, you're not in a job that you like, you feel like you're overlooked, you don't feel that you're good enough, or you don't really see opportunities or take opportunities, have a little sit down and write down some of the things that's going on in your head and have a look at them, because once you get them out on paper, it's different. It's different than in here. It looks different. It feels different when it's written down, and then you can start debunking them. Once you're aware of these thought patterns, you can start looking at maybe where they come from, or reframing them. We talk about reframing.
That is really important, because you see, like, there's so many different things in our lives that can happen to trigger the unworthiness, whether it's the abandonment or the rejection. And as we spoke about earlier, it doesn't actually look like on the surface that you're being abandoned or rejected. It could be something that just a change of situation that has nothing really to do with you, but maybe you can't do a certain thing anymore. And that will actually make you feel your failure won't come up, your abandonment won't, you're feeling like you're not good enough, just because something changed.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of be aware of the certain things that actually may be triggering this wound as well, because it's actually a wide range of things that can trigger the one wound. You know, a simple thing, just one simple thing. I used to be so afraid of buses, you know, afraid, you know, in school that I'd miss the bus. But that actually led into adulthood. But it got really bad one night when I was drunk, and I had to address it. You know, I was just so petrified of this overwhelming fear that we were going to miss the bus home. And fucking, what if we get stranded? And it was one time our car broke down in the night time when I was a child, and I was just so scared. I was like, oh my God, we're going to die. And it was only when I went to therapy for a certain trauma in my late 20s that she actually made me realise that was my fear of abandonment.
Yeah.
My fear of abandonment.
The bus, even the bus
abandoned me. Yeah, and my whole life I spent afraid to be on buses, afraid of the timetable, you know, running around for a bus, so scared it was going to leave without me. And, you know, I was only uncovering that I'm actually not allergic to buses anymore, and I can go on a bus without freaking out. You know what I mean? And it's something so weird. But my abandonment was triggered because of a bus.
Yeah.
You know, and I actually didn't realise this till I was in my property, realise it until my late 20s, early 30s. So certain things like that, you have to kind of start questioning these things. Why am I feeling this fear? Why am I feeling this rejection? Why do I feel, you know, just so much anxiety around a certain thing? Is it triggering your abandonment?
Yeah, yeah. These core wounds do come out in so many different crazy ways, and actually you can find that it feels like you've got several different problems.
Yeah.
And actually It's just
The
one.
one, and that's it.
Just
There's
one
a few
problem.
projects this
Yeah.
week. It was all the one problem. It was all my unworthiness. Every
Yeah.
single thing that I went through all stemmed back to my unworthiness mood.
Yeah.
And they all were completely different. Well, some of them were the same dynamics, but other ones were completely different dynamics. And I'm like, this doesn't even connect here. But it was back down to my self-worth and my worthiness mood. It's so weird how it can be triggered. And even like, if you're not reminding me when I got my cat. When I first got my cat, I had severe issues around my unworthiness because I thought she was rejecting me. She herself had abandonment issues. So she was,
You're
slow
right
to kind of...
there then.
Yeah, I mean, it's like my older little girl, her mummy died when she was 5 weeks old. So like the three girls in the house now, my dog, my cat, and myself, we're three abandoned individuals. Like, so we have a connection there. We're able to help each other. But first, when I felt when my cat obviously took time to settle in, it was all about me. It was like, she hates me. She doesn't like me. If I petted her, she'd like lick the area as if to say, get off me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I felt it was all about me. And I felt so unworthy and rejected by her. But in actual fact, she was just settling in. Now she can't get enough of me. Like, you know what I mean? So it's crazy how it can be re-triggered again and again.
Yeah. But the more you work through it,
Right.
the easier it is to spot and
it is. Like, I've gone through it for the last 3 weeks, but I'm so aware of the whole thing, and I'm aware of all these dots coming in, and all this is triggering bits and pieces. So I'm easier getting through it, and it's really interesting actually to find different parts of yourself going through this. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, it just that because it can surprise you, can't you? Like, oh, that's connected to that. I didn't see that coming, isn't it? What else have I got here? Identify patterns of self-sabotage or when you're seeking external validation, to work through that. So, what I do often still is I'll make a meal, and it'll be a meal that I make all the time. So it's not like I need them to tell me that the meal is okay because it's one that the kids eat regularly. But I'll put it down and they'll start eating it, and I'm like, is it all right? Is that okay for you? Yeah. And that's a little bit of that, isn't it? I need them to validate me because I've been in the kitchen making them something. You know? Funny, isn't it?
I guess I was as well. Like, I know I already cook for myself, like, but anytime I've ever cooked for anyone else, it's like, shit, is that okay? Is that okay?
Yeah, but which I would understand, like if somebody new came around and I made them a meal, I'm like, is that all right for you? Is there anything else I can get you? But it's like, my children are so picky that we pretty much have we have like a menu of about 8 meals that we eat, and I'll just pick the best one, or depending on what we've got in the house or what day of the week is what else we've got going on. So it's not like they're gonna go, oh, this is a surprise. I've never tasted this before, but I still have to ask them. Maybe I'm just hoping they'll go, oh, this is lovely, Mum. Maybe or is it my unworthiness wound? Who knows? Reframing, we talk about that a lot. So shifting, I'm not good enough. If it is as simple as that. Now, I would say sometimes these unworthiness wounds are sneakier than that. You're not going to think, I'm not good enough for this. It will be worded differently to that, won't it? Or it will be, for example, projecting on somebody else that you think that they wouldn't select it. There's no point in me applying for this job because they're not going to give me the job. Really? Well, they're definitely not going to give you it if you don't apply.
Exactly. And like you're and it's not projection. If you think you're not going to get something or not going to achieve something, you're probably not, because you're sending out the energy on, I don't want this. Whereas if you say, I'm good enough, I can do this, I will get this, you're more than likely to get it. You know what I mean? Even if you don't apply, the universe will get it to you anyway.
Yeah.